Hello and welcome to Pabbly. In this video, we are going to understand how to create and enroll user in Thinkific course for Shopify Purchase. So here my objective is every time a new order is placed on Shopify, let's say it is some particular course. Now you want that the user who has just made this order should be first created as a user in Thinkific and then should be enrolled in the same course in Thinkific. Now to do this, we'll have to integrate Shopify with Thinkific and we can do the same using Pabbly Connect. So here my trigger will be Shopify and my action application will be Thinkific. Now to understand how can you integrate and automate this entire process yourself without the need of any coding skills, let's begin. So this here is the dashboard of Pabbly Connect. You can reach here by clicking on the link which is given in the video description. So you can sign in if you are an existing user, and if you are the new user, sign up. It's not going to take more than 2 minutes. Also at the time of account creation, you will get 100 free tasks. Now once you reach the dashboard, on the right hand side there's a tab create workflow. Click on this and this dialog box has appeared here. Here you have to name your workflow. So here you can give any random name. I'm going to name it as per my objective, which is to enroll user in Thinkific for Shopify Purchase. Here I'm going to click on create. As we do that, here we have reached another window which has got two extremely important events. One here is trigger, another one is action. Now triggers and actions are basically those two principles or concepts on which this entire automation works. Trigger is when this happens, action says do this. Basically action here is the automated response of your trigger application. Let's understand this with the help of an example. So every time you swipe your card and the payment is made, then you get an automated response on your SMS about the amount debited. How does that happen? Now this happens with the help of automation. Now in such a case, your trigger will be the payment gateway. Your action application will be any SMS sending application. Having understood that, let's come to our use case. So here I want that every time there is a new purchase on Shopify, so the trigger application will be Shopify. Let's click on this. Now let's say that I have got different products on Shopify and here I am going to purchase a particular course. So the trigger event here will be new order. Let's click on this and the webhook URL. So we have received this webhook URL. This is going to act as a bridge for connecting Pabbly Connect and Shopify. Now I'm going to copy this. What do we have to do? We have to follow the following help text given. Let me show you exactly what you have to do. So this here is my Shopify account. Here we have to go to settings. Within settings, we have got notifications. Click on this. And now within notifications, we have to look for webhooks. So here I'm going to click on create webhook. Here we are going to look for order creation. So this here is order creation. The format is JSON. Here we have to paste the URL that we have just received. And now we have to select the webhook API version. This one will be the latest one. Let's click on save. So as we do that, we can see that the webhook has been saved successfully, taking you back to Pabbly Connect. Now here it is saying once you have added the webhook URL, do a test submission so that the data can be recorded here in the webhook response. So now to do a test submission, I'm going to take you back to Shopify. Let's close this. Here we are going to go to the various products that we have. You can see these are the products that we have. Now here I'm going to create a new order. So for this, I'm going to take you to the online store. And now let's say that I want to purchase this course, which is PHP course for beginners. So I'm going to click on this and here I'm going to click on buy it now. So as I do that, here we have to fill in the information. So let's say the contact number here is newdummy67@pabblytudes.com. This here is the email address. Here we have the name of the country. This here is the first name, last name. Address is random street. Apartment is random apartment. And then we have the city, state. Here I'm going to change the pin code and then we have the phone number. So let's add the country code here and now I'm going to click on continue to payment. As we do that, here we have to fill in the card details. So I'm going to fill in the test card details and let's enter the security code and click on pay now. So as we do that, our order was processed there and here let's check if we have received the response. And here we can see we have captured the webhook response. So what have we received? We have received the created date and time. Here is the weight of the product. Now as I take you down, so here you can see we have the amount. The total price is 100 rupees. Now let's go down. Here we have received the name of the product, which is PHP course for beginners. Then as I take you down, here we have received the user details. Here we have the email address. Then we have the last name. Here we have the first name. And then we have the billing address. Now once we have received all these details, what is my objective? This user has to be enrolled in the same course in Thinkific. So let me take you to my Thinkific account, and here I'm going to take you to the different courses that I have. So here you can see we have got different courses, and here we have the same course, PHP course for beginners for 8 weeks. So I want that every time a user has made a purchase in Shopify for this course, then the user should automatically be enrolled here. To do that, first I have to set a filter so that the workflow continues only when this particular product is purchased on Shopify. So here I'm going to use this feature by Pabbly, which is filter. This helps in setting conditions. And here I'm going to go to step 1 to set a label. Here I'm going to look for the course name, which is PHP course for beginners. So we can see this here is the name. So I'm going to take this. Now this should be equal to, so let's go up, and here we have the name of the product. So I'm going to quickly copy this because it has to be written exactly in the same way. I'm going to paste this here, click on save and send test request. So as we do that, we can see that the status is a success. The message is condition is true. Why? Because this user has purchased the same product. Now once this is done, let's come to the Thinkific part. So here first I'm going to look whether the user already exists in Thinkific or no. So here I'm going to use my action application as Thinkific. And now the action event here will be to search for the user. Let's click on this, click on connect. So here now Pabbly Connect wants to connect with Thinkific account. Since we are setting up this connection for the first time, here I'm going to select add new connection, then connect with Thinkific. Here we have to enter the subdomain. Now you can get the subdomain details from, you have to go to settings, then code and analytics, and within that you have API. So I'm going to take you to Thinkific, and here we are going to go to settings. Now within settings we have code and analytics. Within this we have API, and this here is the subdomain. Here I'm going to copy this, go back to Pabbly Connect and paste the same. Now here I'm going to click on save. So as we do that, here we can see that the authorization has been successful. This means that Thinkific and Pabbly Connect are now connected. So here as I take you down, we have the option to search by. Now here we have got options like email, role, external source, and group ID. So in the previous step, I have received the email address of the person. So here I have received the email address. So what I'm going to do, here I'm going to select email. Now we have to search for the email address. So I'm going to click on this. Go to the step 1, and here I'm going to look for the email address. So this here is the email address of the person. Now this method with which I have added the information here is known as mapping, and this is important so that every time your workflow runs, it can take the new data into consideration. Had I written this information manually, in that case, even when I had received some new response, it wouldn't have taken that. Instead, it would have only taken the manually written data. So to avoid that, we map the information. Next, we have to enter the page number to use in pagination. If you do not do that, so the default page value is 1. Now here I'm going to simply click on save and send test request. So as we do that, here we have received the response. So here you can see I have received meta pagination total items as 0, which means that there is no user with this particular email address. In this case, I'm going to first create a user and then enroll to the specific course. Now here I can have two different routes, one where the user exists and one where the user doesn't exist. Here I'm going to use a feature by Pabbly, which is router. Now the router step allows you to execute different actions based on the filter conditions you set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have different routes here. First, when the user exists and when the user doesn't exist. So here I'm going to rename this step. So here I have named this route as user doesn't exist. Let's click on update. and here I'm going to set filter and action steps. So here I'm going to use the label. For this I'm going to go to step 3, and you can see here the meta pagination total items. So I'm going to select this. Now if this is equals to 0, in that case this condition is going to be true. So here as I click on save and send test request, you can see that the status that I have received is a success. The message is condition is true. Now once the condition is true, which means that the user doesn't exist, in that case I'm going to add my first action application here, which is Thinkific, and I'm going to select this. Then the action event here will be to create user. Let's click on connect. So here we can see that Pabbly Connect wants to connect with Thinkific account. Now we have already set up this connection before, so I'm going to select existing connection, click on save. And as we do that, here we can see that Thinkific and Pabbly Connect are now connected. Now we have to fill in this information to create a user here. So first of all, we need the first name. So I'm going to go to step 1, and here I'm going to look for the first name, which is new. Then next one is last name. Let's map the data here. Let's go to step 1 once again, and here is the last name. Then what do we need? We need the email address. So click on this, go to step 1 once again, and this here is the email address. Now we have to set up a password. You can give any random password. Here I'm going to write PWD, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to step 1. Here we have received customer default address customer ID. So I'm going to take this number. Okay, so this is how I have created a password. You can create your own password. You can select these roles like affiliate, course admin, group analyst, site admin, and if you add more roles here, then you can go and create more roles in Thinkific. Next we have the bio, the name of the company, headline, affiliate code, commission, commission type, payout email. So all these details are not required. If you have the details, you can always map the information here. I'm going to map the phone number as I have it. Now I'm going to click on save and send test request. So as I do that, here we have received the response. So first we have received this ID. This is the user ID. Then we have received the created date and time. Here we have the first name, last name, full name, name of the company, then email address. Once we have created this user, now I want to enroll this user in PHP course for beginners. So again, I'm going to use the application which is Thinkific. Let's click on this. And the action event here will be to enroll user. Let's click on connect, and let's go ahead with the existing connection. So I'm going to click on save here. So once this is done, now here we have to select the name of the course. As I click on this, in the drop down we have the name of the course. I'm going to select this. Here we have to map the user ID. So I'm going to turn on this mapping button, delete this number. Now I'm going to go to step 2. So here I'm going to click on this, and as I do that, this here is the user ID that we have just received in the previous step. So I have selected this. Here we need the activated date and expiry date. I'm just going to leave this blank. In that case, if we have not provided the activated date, then it is considered that the enrollment is a free trial, or else you can provide the date. It has to be exactly in this format. Then if we are not providing the expiry date, this means that the enrollment won't expire. If you are going to provide this, you have to provide it in this format. I'm going to now click on save and send test request. And as I do that, here we have received the response, which means that now this user must be created and be enrolled in this particular course. Let's go and check the same. So this here is my Thinkific account. Here I'm going to take you to users. So here you can see new dummy 67. This particular user has been created, and now let's check the enrollment. So we can see that it has been enrolled to PHP course for beginners. This means that our integration till here is a success. Now I'm going to close this, and let's come to route 2. So here I'm going to rename this first, and here I'm going to name it as user exists. Let's click on update. Now as I do that, here I'm going to set filter and action steps. So first of all, we have to use the filter ID. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to step 2. But since the condition was true here, what we are going to do is, I'm going to take you up, and here I'm going to recapture the webhook response. Let's click on yes. Now as we do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another order in Shopify, and this time I'm going to go ahead with an existing user. So let's say that here we have got different users in Thinkific. So here let's say that this is the student demo. So I'm going to take these details, which is demo@pabblytudes.com. So I'm going to take you to Shopify. Here I'm going to take you back to online store. Here I'm going to select PHP course for beginners. Let's click on buy it now. And now here I'm going to use the email address, which is demo@pabblytudes.com. And here we are going to enter the details. Let's say the first name is student, the last name here is demo. Then we have the address, so it is random address. Then we need the apartment details, so this is random apartment. We need the name of the city, so let's say it is Bhopal. The state here is, let's say it is Madhya Pradesh. The pin code is 462042, and let's say the phone number is 91. Okay, here I have added the details. Let's continue to payment. Here we have to enter the card details. These are just the test card details. Here I'm going to enter the security code. Let's click on pay now. Let me take you back to Pabbly Connect to see if we have received the order details. And here we can see we have captured the webhook response. Now let's quickly check the details. And here we can see these are the details that we have received. So what is the name of the product? So the name of the product here is PHP course for beginners. And now let's go and check the student details. So we have the first name, which is student. The last name is student demo. This here is the complete name. Then we have the mobile number and the billing details. Now once we have received this information, I'm going to go to filter once again, click on save and send test request. And we can see that the condition is true. Why? Because the person has opted for PHP course for beginners. Let's go to Thinkific, and here I'm going to quickly click on save and send test request. And as I do that, here since the user already had existed, so we have received the user ID. Then here we have the created date and time. Then we have got the user details. And as I take you down, here we can see meta pagination total items we have received as 1. I'm going to go to router step. Here I'm going to set filter and action steps here, and this time I'm going to go to step 3. Let's go down, and here we are going to go to meta pagination total pages, and this should be equal to 1. If this equals to 1, this means that the user already exists. And here we can see that we have received the status as success. The messages condition is true. Now I have the user already in Thinkific. I'm just going to enroll the user to the particular course. So I'm going to choose my application as Thinkific, and the action event here will be to enroll user. Let's click on connect, and now I'm going to continue with the same process once again. Let's click on save to set up the connection. And now here let's enter the name of the course. Then I'm going to map the user ID. So let's go down. Here we have the user ID. Next, we need the activated date and expiry date. I'm going to leave this blank. Click on save and send test request. And as we do that, here we have received the response according to which now this user must be enrolled to the course. Let me take you to Thinkific. And here I'm going to quickly refresh this page. And as we do that, we can see that we have received the current enrollment status, which is active. So this means our integration is a complete success. Now let's check the same in real time. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to Shopify, and here I'm going to take you back to the online store. And let's go to PHP course for beginners, and I'm going to buy this product once again. This time I'm going to give you a very different email address. So let's say the email here is sue@pabblytudes.com. And here the first name is Sue, the last name is Wright, and the address here is random new. Then the apartment is apartment. Let's say the city is Bhopal. Then we need the state. So let's say the state is Madhya Pradesh. The pin code is 462042. The phone number, so I'm just going to give a random number. And now I'm going to click on continue to payment. Let's enter the card details. So these are just the test card details, and let's click on pay now. Now once the order is processed, here I'm going to take you to users once again. And here we can see that this particular person has been added here as a user, and let's check the enrollment, and it has also been enrolled. So this means our integration is a complete success, taking you back to Pabbly Connect. Here I'm going to close this. Let's quickly understand what we have done. So here our trigger was Shopify, where the event was new order. And then we had used a feature by Pabbly which is filter, so that the workflow continues only when the specific product has been purchased on Shopify, which is PHP course for beginners. Then our application was Thinkific, where first we had searched for the user, and now we had two different options. One where the user existed and another one where the user did not exist. And on the basis of these conditions, if the user exists, then the student will directly be enrolled to the course, and if the user doesn't exist, then first the student will be created in Thinkific and then it would be enrolled to the course. So this here was my workflow. I hope that this is absolutely clear to you. If in case you have any doubt, you can refer this workflow. This is there in the description box. You can also clone the same and start to process immediately. Apart from this, if you have any specific integration to work on, you can always write to us.
Not only this, but you can integrate multiple applications using Pabbly Connect software. To ask any of your query, you have to write at forum.pabbly.com. You can also visit our website, which is www.pabbly.com/connect. To get all the details about the latest updates, the integrations and applications, you can visit our Facebook group. If in case you have found this video helpful, then do not forget to share this with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get into automation and make their life easy. I'm going to see you very soon with different integrations and automations. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Take care of yourself.